Yo, 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 world. So, we're going next after this voxel coolness to Mike Smart from Meta Builders. Uh, Mike, it would be very cool to know a bit about Meta Builders and what they are, and what you offer and at Meta Builders, a little bit about the team, and we can have a chill little conversation about anything that's on your mind these days. Because I guess there's a lot of chaos going on, so we're all about that. So, Mike, the floor is yours.
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Mike Smart. I'm CEO of Smart Digital Payments and MetaBuilders. MetaBuilders provides turnkey solutions for businesses and brands to enter the metaverse. And essentially, the way we do that is by the accumulation of virtual real estate and uh, service providers in this space, including animators, artists, Web3 developers, marketers, things of that sort. And currently, we've served a few clients. Right now, our client is Masters of the Bitcoin, and we brought them into multiple virtual spaces, including Neos and Blockchain Valley Virtual, uh, the Uplift World, which is built on the Minecraft, and we're essentially just building out real world businesses in the Web3 space, also providing dApps for traditional businesses to be able to accept payment and create different types of payment situations for these businesses.
So you handle um, the full stack, let's say, of NFT, um, from digital art, from NFTs as digital objects in the metaverse to the whole, let's say, marketplace aspect of it.
Right. So essentially, what we're trying to do is like obviously everyone's trying to bridge the gap, bridge the gap between traditional and new age Web3 style business models. Um, but we've tried it in many different ways. We tried the whole grabbing these NFT projects, PFP projects, or whatever, and trying to market them, and that is not the direction that we're headed. Nor do I believe that's the way that the market's headed either. But so when we worked our way up to then being like, okay, well, how do we integrate NFTs into traditional business? And now we've graduated to, okay, this is much larger than any of this NFT stuff. We just need to learn how to integrate NFTs, Web3, all of these things into traditional business to where, the developers are getting paid on the front end and throughout the back end in in a seamless type fashion so that we can orchestrate the workings of this transition into the Web3 space. And the people who I believe deserve the most value out of that are the people who've already been doing it and who created the ideas to begin with. And, with that, there's all these communities like, Raid Guild and Moloch Digital and Moloch Cloudship and all these different entities that are having a difficult time with the marketing aspect, or even being able to communicate with these Fortune 500 companies or whoever it may be that meta builders would be targeting, and who needs the work the most and who can afford the work the most. So that's where we're at now, is we're trying to build relationships that are dependable with all of these entities that are already in the space, and with our network as well, kind of combine everyone to where we can build this dependable system that's a trustless, uh, you know, community driven organization of developers, essentially.
And it's nice that you touched on the marketing aspect because it's definitely something that is lacking. There's really a big hole in this whole Web3 space where marketing was supposed to be, which is very weird, but it is not that unjustified if you consider that this place was born out of hackers and out of this cypherpunks and basically geeks, basically blockchain geeks or generally networking geeks. And so we're
Yeah,
still,
privacy driven,
yeah,
anonymous type individuals.
yeah, and individuals who are more focused on actually building the technology rather than having this business mindset that is required to actually get it out to the world and actually monetize it and sustain it. And a lot of DAOs, a lot of organizations have faced these exact problems. We as Metagame are facing it. A lot of other DAOs that are in our broader circle are also facing it. So it's nice to see that at least you're doing some work there and you're trying to fill that gap. So
Well, and
no, go
I
on.
wanted to mention that originally I was having a difficult time selling my product because that was my intention, to sell my product as a payments company. And I'm like, okay, well, because Smart Digital Payments provides point of sale devices to empower businesses and merchants to accept cryptocurrency as a payment. Originally, that's what this whole thing started out as. And then I realized that it is the predatory environment of traditional business that is the reason why I was pushed away from that environment and brought over to the Web3 space and NFT space to begin with, is because of how it feels. It's so much more different. Like, I would much rather put up a shiny piece of art, or a 3D piece of art or whatever, and say, look at this, and attract the person who that is good enough for, as opposed to knock down doors and bug people while they're eating. And I've done all that sales stuff, door to door knocking, telemarketing. I've been every type of asshole that you can imagine in the traditional business sense, and I hate it. And so it's like, that being the case, the the biggest hurdle that I have now, because I have an endless amount of customers. I got people referring me. I have people that are willing to pay me tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to do these things for them. So the customers aren't the issue now, because we are attractive and we do attract people. What is the biggest hurdle, in my opinion, is, are we doing it correctly? Are we servicing the both sides of the fence? But firstly, the people in the Web3 space who are making this transition happen into the ideology of the positive, uplifting togetherness, that is the Web3 space. So like, it's 100% essential for whatever traditional style businesses that enter this space to do it in and walk in the direction of what is happening in this space to begin with the people who started it, like a lot of the people on this call. And and so that's the biggest hurdle, and therefore that's the direction we're trying to take this business, because Meta Builders isn't coming in here trying to be like, let's build a traditional style business and accumulate all of this stuff so that Mike Smart can get rich, or so that Meta Builders can become this $100 million company in itself. The whole point is to bring in traditional business by being attractive as a business, but then diversifying ownership or decentralizing the ownership of Meta Builders in the Web3 space through these technologies like NFTs and things of that sort, so that when we do take on transactions, the smart contracts handle the disbursement of funds in a way that is dependable and like building for the overall structure of the Web3 space within the community. So like, for example, we create an NFT project that the idea that I had was to create like vaults for these businesses where we sell a package for, let's say, $150,000. We sell this massive package where people want their own marketplace. They want a virtual space and all of these things, avatars and whatnot. And so MetaBuilders sells something for 150,000, and the smart contract of that NFT automatically puts that as a vault where the service providers can then take their own personal meta builders or whatnot, whatever ends up being at that point, NFT, and they stake it into this vault that is the project. And through that process, when the work is being done, the percentage of those funds are being leaked into those specific areas. Like, let's say if it's Moloch CloudShip, that's handling a bunch of the voxel stuff, and then if there's voxels being done in that type in that vault package, then a certain percentage, whatever was determined in the package, goes into Moloch CloudShip fund during the process, and it does it automatically. And then at the end, when the project is finished, whether it was a fail or a success, it's voted on by a DAO or whatnot, and then we burn the vault, and everyone gets their round 2 meta builders NFTs to show they all suck or they were all great, and then boom, now we've all got the next rendition of meta builders. So it becomes trustless after a while, because people can say, well, I mean, this person's been on this many projects and they've all failed, so they suck, don't do business with them, and vice versa.
And you seem to
Yeah, the
like
efforts.
this.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, no, Bogey.
No, I was going to say the effort speaks for itself in that case. Like, that's fair enough. Yeah, I like that model. Yeah.
And for me, I don't have a clue how to build things like that, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, as we said before, like there's a talent that exists. Um, the direction is the business direction is still missing. So you you touched on a lot of stuff, and right in the beginning, you said like you were in the traditional business world, and you've struggled through that, and you got into this whole mindset and this whole culture. So it seems like you moved to Web3 not only because of the technologies, but because of some vibes that were there of a different culture. And so, is that the case? Is it that there's something that is very different here that you cannot see in the traditional world? And I wanted to also know what is the disconnect that you have seen in people with a traditional business mindset that maybe are interested, or that some other people try to onboard in the Web3 space, that is like incomprehensible or just so out of their type of thinking that is difficult to actually get them on Web3. Have you identified some specific elements of mindset or thinking or ideology that are there that stop people from getting?
Yeah, it's absolutely, in my opinion, directly focused on self-serving behaviors. Like, the whole point in my opinion, of traditional business is to massively accumulate wealth for yourself and your business. And you do that on the back of yourself the entire way, and all you're thinking about is personal gain and personal effort, and then when you get to the top, you're like, fuck everybody else. I did this, and look at all the stuff I have. And Web3 space is literally it's like a manifestation of oneness through the internet and the evolution of the internet, where I'm sitting in my bedroom right now, like chilling, and I'm all over the world discussing things that are intangible to physical creatures, and that is a hard concept to grasp as a traditional business style person in itself. But then to think about all of the work that I've put in and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I've put back into meta builders to go towards the developers that are building the things for me, it takes a person who's not focused on self in its entirety. I mean, of course, I have plans to become wealthy over this process, but right now it's about building this infrastructure of a new way of thinking and a new way of conducting business. And I focus on the term non-predatory commerce because that's what makes sense to me. And so I guess that would highlight that specific thing that stands out that's different between traditional business and non. And this new Web3 space is Web3 space aims to obfuscate the issue of self and allow people to benefit by community-based activities equally, and it promotes equity in the best type of way to where everyone's getting a chunk of the pie, even if they're just handing it off, because everyone is important, and so everybody deserves to benefit from the work.
So there is a term in the more underground Web3 kind of terminology that's called squad wealth, which is like very close to what you've described. This not individualistic, not self-centered way of accumulating some kind of capital that doesn't just trickle up to a single individual who is like the CEO, the leader, or whatever they may be, so whatever kind of power accumulator they are.
Hierarchy. Yeah. Hierarchy or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like the issue of hierarchy is not an issue that we can.
Right. Well,
we would start a whole other conversation here. So do you vibe with this notion of squad wealth?
Oh, absolutely. I think, see, and that's where it's difficult to transition, because even myself, knowing full well of what I'm trying to accomplish, there's still pieces in my soul that's like, somebody has to be a leader in some sort of fashion. And that's why I believe that DAOs are that somebody, because, like, for instance, the ideology that exists within this community that promotes this type of squad wealth is an idea of a man that has been multiplied in many men and women that stand by something and seek to benefit from defending these ideologies, and therefore need to financially prosper out of that in order to gain more leverage in the real world, which money is the thing that accomplishes that. So it's a very difficult process, but someone has to lead the cause, and I believe that MetaBuilders could do that with the support of the rest of these entities in this industry, to where previously discussed and agreed upon portions of the traditional business that would be MetaBuilders, but decentralized in Web3 space. That way, MetaBuilders is not a business per se that's running shit. It's more or less just an entity that handles all the risk, handles all the front work, herds the cats, as Tinfany would say.
Nice reference, a nice shout out right there. Yeah, this, like, the overall ethos and culture is centered around decentralization. But from my own experience in this space, it seems that it is often not well defined. And there's this immediate urge to go into this very anarchic mode, which I don't mind specifically, but it can get to a kind of structurelessness, which is very tyrannical, actually, which is the structurelessness itself can become oppressive and can not lead to the goal that this group has. And this is a problem that many people are facing. and there is a new wave of thinking in terms of decentralization, and especially in terms of leadership, that takes into account what is very special about this whole space. And there is, especially you might be interested, if you're speaking about leadership, in Talent DAO. Easier for stuff to be done, as traditional corporations have shown, when there are um, these hierarchies of division of labor, of very precise tasks, of basically this kind of military way of organizing. But the thing is to not go overboard with that, to not let it be oppressive. And this is a very fine line. And you, from what I know, you're in these organizations that are still very nascent, and you're a small team, and you didn't have the uh, scaling up, let's say, of some other organizations. So I think it's it's probably very easy to do this now. But what would you say would be the case if suddenly you got a lot of people working for you, you got a lot of talented people, and you gotta organize and manage all this energy that's coming in the system? Um, would it would you still stay in this kind of role uh, as a leader, or would you try to progressively decentralize this? I don't know if I was exactly
Yeah,
uh,
I got what you said.
clear in whatever. Okay.
Yeah, no, so when things actually get real and I'm forced to, lead thousands of people as opposed to a small group, would I still have the similar ideology, or would I want to, get out essentially? And well, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish from the beginning, is like, once we have all these entities together, because like I really like the idea of Moloch Cloudship, and it's very more advanced in an idea towards serving the service providers that are the developers in this space. And so like for me, I would like to see something like that, that type of structure be supported in when it comes to the workings of the actual work that's being done. And on the business side of accumulating the funds and then dispersing the funds to entities like that, and like Metagame, for example, I love the way that you guys use emojis to pay people and things like that. Those are the type of structures that I believe will pull away the pain from, people like me will experience, because I'm not trying to be like, hey, I want to lead all these people. What I'm trying to do is say, hey, everyone, you already have all this stuff, and I've got the missing link on the side of like I can get into rooms that many people can't get into based upon the type of individual that I am and the fearlessness that I enter some of these spaces. People are like, okay, well, this guy's not trying to take us because he doesn't give a shit one way or the other. And so, I want to utilize the leverage that I have and the hard work that I've been doing over this past couple of years, building these deep-seated relationships with the people at the top. And I'm talking like, movie directors and people in Hollywood, and the people who are doing LeBron James's NFT project, are the people that are hitting me up saying, hey, can you help my friend? So there's all this money and all this stuff is happening, and Microsoft or IBM or whatever are going to figure it out. They're gonna find that rat piece of shit, pardon my French, but they're gonna find the guy that is willing to sell out the Web3 space, give them all the goodies, and they can back that ideology with billions. And then now we're sitting here playing wannabe Web3, taking scraps for avatar builds when we could be building the industry and with all of the power and knowledge that exists within this space in the spirit that already exists within this space. We're literally there. We just need to shove traditional business into the funnel that exists, and we need to organize each other in a way to where we don't have to depend on any human being. We build the structure together, and then boom, now we could just all market one thing. Like, let's say meta builders, it's all diversified, everyone gets their portion. And so it's not Mike Smart meta builders anymore, it's meta builders, the DAO of all the DAOs, and it's like we use that entity to push forward into traditional business and take all of that money to fuel these DAOs that are doing all of this work in the space.
Yeah, I see this common thread into what you're saying, of protecting something from capture, from traditional ways of thinking, all this innovation and this radical stuff that is happening. So I can see yourself in the role of a guardian if you would you identify with something like this.
I think that, like I would like to look at this whole scenario as like the Web3 as an idea in the wind. And the idea came to me through necessity of a massive life change through an epiphany type way. And so therefore I essentially open my wings to catch this gust of wind, this idea in the wind, and help usher it into realization, because I agree with it, and it serves my new way of thinking. So I would much rather just, be looked at as somebody who's like alley-ooping an idea that already exists into the net, essentially, and then, I'm willing to put myself at risk to accomplish these things because I have children and I see what society has done with itself the way that it is now. And we have these magic wands in our hands and we need to use them for good so that the next 100 years doesn't look like the last 100 years.
That's the goal. So it seems like we have some questions from people. So first question from Missanth. Is MetaBuilders for individuals, organizations, or both? As in, do we approach MetaBuilders for work or for service? Or both?
Both.
That comes from Missanth. Both.
Yeah, so a lot of this comes from just selfishness in general, thinking about all the things that I wish I had throughout this process of getting to where I am now. So as a business, I'm like, I had to figure this all out by myself. I reached out to people and they said, don't innovate in innovation, quote unquote. Don't innovate in innovation, this guy tells me. And so, people are trying to squash me down the whole way, trying to learn, and I didn't like it. And so I just started making friends in the space and realized that I know everybody that can accomplish all these things, and they're all broke, and they shouldn't be, because they can do things that I could not even imagine at that point in time, and that stuff is valuable. So through the process of me overpaying people who are unqualified, I realized that there needs to be more trust or trustlessness in this space. And also I think about workers. What are workers going to look like in 5 years from now? They're all going to be robots flipping burgers. I mean, they're already handling 99.9% of distribution. So human beings are being worked out of the workplace. And the only work that's going to exist is to build for the artificial intelligence. So like, that being the case, we need places for people that are these scatterbrained 10-second clip TikTok watching fucking, I've got anime on this computer, I've got my game over here, I'm grinding over here on Alien Worlds, like those type of individuals who could never stand in a line and say yes sir, no sir. We need to build a structure for those type of people on the massive scale so that people can just hop in, do some work real quick, hop out, and have that be, recorded and rewarded without human intervention. And that's where Meta Builders provides, comfort for workers, because we are taking in large clients that will then open up the need for all of this work. And if we can funnel in the workers, we have partnerships with colleges that we're trying to have the professors bring us their postgraduates or whatnot, so that they can get first-time job placement in the Web3 space, because that's the next industry, and it's the industry that exists now. So if we can funnel all of the workers and all of the businesses into one space, then now we service both. You play to earn. Right. Well, that brings me to my most recent client and a friend of mine, Jason Michael Primrose, who is has just launched their NFT project. It's it's not even like an NFT launch or an NFT project launch, and they're not trying to sell out or anything. But obviously they are trying to sell out, but it's different. Like, they understand where things are going in a way of storytelling and playing, but also providing some sort of monetary gain through the process, because like you said, and like we've agreed on, is that the majority of the work is going to be art based or tech based, just helping the process along. Like, there will never, I mean, I guess there will be, but there will always be artists, and there will always be a marketplace for traditional art as above generated AI art, regardless of how good it gets. It's nice to have the spirit behind it, and you can't get that with AI. But I lost my train of thought. Play to earn, basically. Oh yeah, so Children of Andromeda, they have the play or read to earn, and I thought that was pretty dope, where you get your NFT and you're able to experience different parts of the book, and then they're enhancing the reader experience through the chapters of having augmented reality and holographic or holograms in the reading experience. And that's where I see it going, is stuff like that. Like, you don't need to sell out a PFP and make a point, or get rich real quick. We just want a better, more in-depth experience, and be able to monetize that experience while we're enjoying our lives. If we can make money by reading and playing while robots ship us cheeseburgers through our windows that we bought in the metaverse, then why the fuck not?
Yeah, it seems like we got one more question from Vincent again. How does one become a meta builder?
As of right now, we're just doing stuff, like for example, Musashi, he's fully his own thing. They do their own thing at their, Moloch Cloud Ship and all that stuff. But they also have been helping us out with other things like building in the metaverse and Neos and marketing, helping us market on Twitter and things like that. And there's been no contractual agreements. It's just, he does some stuff and I pay him and like it's good. And he was just doing that stuff anyways. I just am one of the guys that are helping pay him to do that type of stuff. And that's how I would like it to be for now. But at some point there will be gated memberships for service providers so that we can verify people. And there will be a token, whether we adopt somebody else's token of their DAO, which would be ideal, to be honest, if we could create some sort of a DAO token that's a DAO of DAO tokens type deal. But yeah, as of right now, you just hang out. You can join our Discord, discord.gg/metabuilders. And yeah, that's it. I mean, we're not trying to take over anything, or we want everyone to have their own brand as well. It just be, if you work on packages through MetaBuilders, there's a standard that we hold ourselves to because we're trying to be the Nike of MetaBuilder type businesses. So we want nothing but the highest quality projects to our standards, like Masters of the Bitcoin or Lost Children of Andromeda, things of that sort, to where they have legs, they actually have intellectual property and a business and all of these things. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. I'm totally in my head.
Cool. That was very nice. There sure are a lot of stuff that you test on that we don't have the time maybe now to get in depth, but it was very nice starting you.
Well, thanks for having me on. I was incredibly nervous in the beginning of this thing, but this stuff, I'm actually passionate about it, and so it just pops out. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. But yeah, I do want to touch on the fact that I'm trying to move in a pace that the market is not prepared for. For example, like I'm talking to people that are heading, hedge funds, $100 million hedge funds and things like that, and I'm trying to get this structure put in place to where I can reach out to these traditional style investors and basically force them to, instead of invest in us in a way to where they own anything, they can invest in the tokens if they would like to, so that they can benefit off of the growth, but nobody owns shit except for the DAOs. So it would be nice to get a couple $1 million to fund some sort of a DAO that oversees this whole thing. And so that's the direction that I'm heading in. And anybody who is interested in helping me do that and adding their organizations to this overall thing that I'm trying to help create, you can find me at MetaBuilders Discord. That's where we'll be. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
See you around.
Take it easy.